tree of life, drinking in the rain. Shower down your love on me. I am a tree of life, stretching toward the sun, receiving abundant energy to work and have my fun. I am a tree of life, surrendering to the wind, dancing to the rhythm of my mother earth. I am a tree of life, breathing with the seasons, honoring my circles, dancing in the flow. Oh, I am a tree with the energy of life pulsing through me. Oh, I am a tree, expressing all life can be. I am a tree of life, stretching out my toes, grounding myself deeper in spirit. I am a tree of life, stretching out my branches, balancing my leaves in beautiful harmony. Oh, I am a tree with the energy of life pulsing through me. Oh, I am a tree, expressing all life can be. I am a tree of life, offering my fruit. This is my gift of love I pass on to you. I am a tree with the energy of life pulsing through me. Oh, I am a tree, expressing all life can be, expressing all life can be, expressing all life can be.
We're talking about the law of attraction. And I find it interesting because last week I was in a training all week long, and it was about this subject also. I love how that works. And what I will tell you, my heart goes out to every mother, father, and child that has to learn on Zoom, because I was on Zoom from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. And there is such a thing as being Zoom tired. So God bless all of our kids out there and their parents that are teaching them through all of this until schools open again. So I was like, okay, this is an experience that I wouldn't have had. My kids are grown. So it's like, all right, I get to really experience this. And so when we talk about the law of attraction, what I learned last week was a formula. And you may have heard of this formula. It was not new to me. However, it's useful to look at our life, because sometimes don't we just go along and life just happens to us is what we think, right? If there's no bumps in the road, we aren't really paying that much of attention. And what if we paid attention all the time? So there's always events in our life, right? Every single day. You had an event today. You got up. That was an event. Whether you think so or not, you got up. That's an event. You showered. You had a loving relationship with your partner, or you got in a fight. Who knows? All of those are events. You drove here. Easier now, actually, than it was in the past. Still easier on Sunday than it used to be during the week. However, you drove here. Lots of opportunities to have events. So events happen to us all the time. The R in the equation is response. And response is, how do I react? What do I believe about the event that just happened to me? And then the outcome is based not on the event, which we always think, right? Don't we always want to blame the event? Don't we all want to blame COVID? Maybe you don't. I do. Have you ever tried to blame a disease before? Doesn't work really well. All right, so we got this event. The outcome is actually based on how we respond. So I want to give you an example of this that I think is perfect for that equation. How many of you know, Bernie, raise your hand before I even get my question out. Jim, you too. How many of you know who Shaquem Griffin is? He is, and Courtney, sorry, and my husband. He is a defensive player for the Seattle Seahawks. He has a twin brother who is also a defensive player for the Seattle Seahawks. Shaquem was born without a hand. Now I want you to think about, that's an event, right? He's born without a hand. He's got a twin brother, absolutely healthy. And they play football. And they play on the same side of the ball. So I want you to imagine, first of all, I kept thinking, kudos to those boys' parents. Because Shaquem did not grow up resenting his brother. They have a deep, deep bond and a deep, deep love for each other. So the next event, they both got hired to be players on the Seattle Seahawks. Everything's great. And then sometime over the summer before the season started, Shaquem got waived. Now, I don't know if any of you know enough about football, but basically that means we can't use you right now. Now, I know, because I watch enough sports, a lot of times when this happens, and I only know about Seahawks players, but I'm sure this happens for every professional team, regardless if it's football or basketball or baseball or even in life. A player gets waived, and the first thing a lot of them do is they attack the coach or they attack the team. No responsibility whatsoever. And as fast as they can, they get hired by another team so they can continue to make money and play football. Not Shaquem. What he did with that event was lean into his brother for support, to help him get through this, to not start to doubt himself. He got offers from other teams, and he refused them all because he wants to play football with his brother. And he hung in there, and last week he made one of those plays that got to be on ESPN. Because he didn't give up. And the Seahawks, because somebody got hurt, were able to add him back to their roster. Now, that event, he got waived. That event has so many different opportunities for a reaction, right? And so look at your life. How many times do things happen in your life that you blame, you complain, you justify, right? Am I the only one? Anybody? I can't see you people online. You people here, come on. Thank you, Kim. I'm like, whoa, I'm alone. We all have an opportunity in our life. I remember when I was in a class once, probably with Reverend Susie Shadle, when I first founded Science of Mind Church. She said, Gayle, the interesting thing is when you point at somebody to blame them, not really blaming you, just so you know. But when you point at somebody, I want you to look at your hand. Because there's 3 fingers pointing back at the person that's really responsible for what's going on. 3 versus 1. Pretty high percentage of who's responsible. Because nobody on this planet can tell you how to behave. Nobody can tell you how to behave. So I don't know if you know who Viktor Frankl is. He was a physician, a Jewish physician during the time of the Holocaust. He and his family ended up at a concentration camp. I think they actually got split up. And at the and he kept having hope. He said, in those situations you have to have hope. And there were probably many, many events. The one that I remember that sticks out in my mind is he got caught taking care of the Jewish people in the concentration camp because he was a doctor, giving them water, taking care of their wounds. And so the head of the camp brought him in stripped naked, because that in of itself is demoralizing. The only thing he had left of his wife, and he was the only survivor, by the way, the only thing he had left of his wife was his wedding ring. And the head of this concentration camp took his ring. And instead of crumbling, instead of being filled with hatred, he stood there and looked at the man and said, "You cannot make me hate you." That's powerful. And so I started to think not just about big events that happened in my life, but the little daily events that happen all the time. That every single time an event happens, I'm given an opportunity to go, do I go high? Do I take responsibility? And if I really don't think I have responsibility, can I act as if I have 100% responsibility? Because we don't have 100% responsibility for everything, do we? Anybody in this room responsible for what's going on for this global reset? No, I don't think so. Me either. However, I can act as if I'm responsible by being the best person I can be through this, without blaming other people for what's happening. How am I responding in the middle of this global reset? What am I doing to take care of myself? What am I doing to take care of this community? What am I doing to take care of my family? That's how you take 100% responsibility. We're all in this together. We may not like it. We certainly didn't say, hey, 2020, you know what we want to do? We want to go through a global reset. We're ready, right? We're ready. And whether we're ready or not, what I know to be true is each and every one of us is going to be better on the other side of this. Because each and every one of us is going to find that place within us that says, I needed more time to meditate. Thank you, God. I needed something to remind me about how much I love my family. Thank you, God. What is it in your life that might not have happened had it not been for what's going on right now? I find with this community, I think that we're tighter even though we don't get to see everybody. Because people are reaching out to people intentionally by phone to check in and see how you doing. What's going on? Because in the middle of this, life still happens. If you don't believe me, you ask Joy after service if life doesn't still happen. Or you ask Dave Pennick after service if life doesn't still happen. Things happen in the middle of this. Life doesn't just stop. How we react, what we think, where our love sits in us is what is going to make us a better people on the other side of this. And that's a choice, right? That is a choice. You can choose to complain about it. You can choose to disbelieve it. We're all living through it, every single one of us. Every single one of us. And it's not just here in Burien. It's not just here in the state of Washington. It's not just in the United States. It's global. So regardless of what you believe, people are dying because of this virus. And so how do you get to react with that? Can you have compassion regardless of what you think? Can you have compassion? Can you listen to people's heartache? Because there's some deep, deep heartache going on right now. Can you be that place where love resides? Can you be that light? You know, I love the analogy of being a lighthouse that is a beacon for ships so they don't crash into rocks. Can you be that? Can you be a lighthouse for humanity? Because I think that is a calling for people who believe in the science of mind philosophy, people who call themselves religious scientists. This is an opportunity to stand up and be bright. Because we're at choice here, aren't we? We can stand up and be bright. We can crumble in fear. We can doubt, we can justify, we can blame, we can complain. And the reality of what is happening right now doesn't change. How I live within that is where my power lies. And so how you live within what's happening is where your power lies. It is so easy to blame somebody, anybody. Blame anybody. I just don't want to be responsible. And I will tell you through this 6, 7, 8 months, however long it's been, seems like a lifetime. I really thought in March. How many of you thought in March, oh, we'll be over this by April? End of the month. I'll give it the end of the month. And then all of a sudden it was July. And now it's October. This was not my plan for 2020. Did somebody have this plan in their planner? Like 2020, let's do this. Right? I don't think there's a person out there that had that on their calendar. And yet, remember how we started off 2020? 2020, clear vision. Right? How many of you saw that or said it? I said it all the time. Ooh, can't wait for 2020. Clear vision. Hello? Thank you, God. Called that in. Right? It is an opportunity for us to have a clear vision. Maybe not about ourselves. Maybe about where we judge other people. Maybe that's where our vision has to be. How do we judge other people? How do we make other people separate? Maybe you guys don't do that. I'm going to own up as a minister. I can go to judgment. Trust me, I can go to judgment. I don't like it in myself, and I do my best not to judge. However, sometimes it comes out of my mouth before my brain realizes, wow, that was verbal. Right? It's like that, I don't know if it was a cartoon or what, but sometimes I have to say, oh, did I say that out loud? And all those are bad habits. They are bad habits, and they can be broken. What if, between the event, the thought of judging, let's say, and between my reaction, what my brain wants to say out loud, I just took a breath and thought, wow, interesting. Interesting. If we could start to be curious about each other, about life, curious about everything. If we could be curious, do you know how much kinder we could be? Because when you're curious, you're not blaming anybody, are you? So instead of saying, I used to, and I'm not, I did give this up, so I will own this. I used to think I was the fashion police. I would go to concerts and I would see, young girls, and I was younger then, but young girls, and they, in my opinion, which mattered so much. Shorts are too short. Why would they wear a shirt that's cut off so much? All kinds of stuff. And the thing I realized, my biggest fear about standing on stage is being judged. So you better give that up, sister. If you don't want to be judged, because remember, the energy we put out there comes back like a tidal wave. It's not one for one. Wouldn't that be easy? Oh, I judged somebody. Okay, you go ahead, judge me, and we'll be clean. It doesn't work that way. And we know it doesn't because in our financial world, we always say, I'll give this because I know I'll get it back tenfold. Why do we think that just works with finances? It works in every area of your life. So if you're going to judge somebody, count on it coming back tenfold. If you're going to complain about people, tenfold people are going to complain about you. Right? If you're going to blame, duck that one. So what is it that drives us to do that? I think it's fear. I think it is a deep-seated fear within us of what our life would look like if we said, I did that. We're afraid people won't like us. I think even more than that, good grief, what would we talk about? Really? You laugh, but is that not true? It is so pervasive. What do we tend to talk about? We tend to talk about other people that aren't there, right? Oh, did you see so-and-so when she was on stage? Good grief. What if we didn't? How different would the world be if the next time you opened up your mouth to complain about somebody, you caught yourself and said something kind? How different would the world be if we took blaming and complaining, justifying, all of that off the table? So I challenge you. 24 hours. 24 hours straight. No blaming, no complaining, no judging. I know Cynthia's back there and thinking, I'm going to climb in a car with Gayle, see how long that lasts. Because that is what showed up for me during this class, which shows up for me all the time. And I always give myself the excuse. For those of you who don't know me, let's just say this. I'm much better than I used to be. I bordered on manic behind the wheel of a car. And it was dangerous. I remember in New Jersey, somebody cut me off, and I followed them. You couldn't have walked through our cars if you wanted to. I followed this person all the way into a gas station, and when I stopped my car, I thought, what are you doing? You could have killed yourself. You could have killed her. What are you doing? And you could get arrested, because I'm sure she's going to go complain to somebody that some maniac. So I'm better, just so y'all know. However, I still have a mouth like a truck driver when I drive. And what I realized was, and I'm better at that also. Of course, there's a lot less traffic now than there was, but there's some things I'm so appreciative for what's happening right now, this global reset. So appreciative, not as much traffic on the freeway. However, what I know to be true is that is my biggest spiritual practice. Can I drive from point A to point B without making the cars around me wrong? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll give it my best. And That's what I ask of all of you. Give it your best. Are you going to be perfect at this? Absolutely not. I believe it's a social disease, that we were raised with it, we nurtured it, we grew it, and it's part of our life. So it takes consciousness to break a habit. It takes consciousness to look at an event, grab the steering wheel a little bit tighter, take a breath, and go, blessings on your journey. You know, I remember in her book, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Success, Adwene Gaines talks about her husband and how he left her in a foreign country, 8 months pregnant. He went out for a walk. He came back and he looked at her and he said, I don't love you. I've never loved you. I'm leaving you. And he left. And she said, took her a long time before she could really forgive him. And she started out with this that I love. Please don't be offended. I forgive you, you son of a bitch. Right? You got to start where you are. You can't say, oh, I forgive you. And in my mind, there's stuff I want to do right now. So start with what's right, because what that did was it got all that stuff out of her. If God's in you, around you, and through you, do you think it makes any difference whether you say, I forgive you, out loud or to yourself? So it's a practice. This is all a practice. And so in the light of that practice, remembering that there's an event, there's a response, and there's an outcome, and we all are responsible for how we react. What are our beliefs? What do we say? What do we do? I invite you to close your eyes as we pray. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, right here, right now, in this moment, knowing that you are expressing in all of these individuals, each one having their own beliefs, each one having their own way of being in the world, and yet because I know that we're all one, because I know that we're all part of the consciousness of the one, I speak my word in the I am. I am grateful right here and right now that I get to say this prayer for our country, this prayer for the leaders of our country. It doesn't matter in the divine action and planning of our world. It does not matter if I agree with people, if I disagree with people, if I love people, if I choose not to associate with people. It doesn't matter if we think differently. What I know right here and right now is we come together. That anybody, anywhere, that is suffering because of this virus that is spreading around the world, whoever they are, may the cells within their body hear this prayer. May they breathe with ease and grace. Will they know without a doubt that there is a one life that is God's life, that is me, that is them, that is all of you, and we are all connected. And so may I find that place within myself that I don't judge, that I don't blame, that I don't wish ill. May I find that place within me that knows my calling is to be that light. My calling is to be that place of peace and understanding. My calling is to have clear boundaries. I can disagree. And yet how I behave is so, so important. Everything is energy. Everything. And so I stand in this energy of the divine. And before that divine presence, I know and see only love. I may disagree. I do not have to hate. And so we breathe in that love. And as we breathe out that love out to everyone, everywhere, regardless. We find that place within us that knows only truth. That place where God lives as us. And so I just say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to release all of my thoughts of discontent. Thank you for allowing me to know only truth, to know only love. I give these words back to that divine presence, to that one. That place that knows us all and always says yes. I let go, I let God, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
Whatever happened to you, whatever changes you've been through, there's a meaning to it all. We are not victim of circumstance. It happens to give us a chance to change, to really grow, and to open to God's love deep inside. God's love therein abide. And God will work through an open heart. God will work through an open mind. God will work through an open heart. God will work through an open mind. You've carried your pain so very far, and what you were feeling is not who you are. It's something you're passing through. Spirit is saying, come in. My door has been open. Your only sin is you didn't know it was open, open. I am the best in you. See me in all you do. And God will work trust God like you know